What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of The 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment-related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. I've gotten a number of questions about the Bully franchise, but none more often than the whereabouts and the possibilities behind Bully 2. That being, guys, what was supposedly going to be the next upcoming game by Rockstar, who were working on Bully 2, and obviously, guys, there were certainly some issues behind the scenes, whether it were creative differences and things of that nature, or it could be things that really we haven't been told about from the rampant amounts of speculation, the question marks regarding this franchise moving forward. Now I want to talk in this segment of the show about Bully 2 in particular. We've talked about Bully in this franchise, the past, present, future. You guys can check out all of that content here on the YouTube channel. But in particular, I want to talk about, will we see Bully 2? Will this be a game that is going to come out at some point or another to really give fresh life into the Bully franchise? Just the IP, because it's really not a franchise at this point. Will it breathe fresh life, that being Rockstar Games, into Bully 2, which could turn into a long-withstanding franchise if they decided to make it? So that's what we're going to be talking about here in this segment of the show. To answer the question, guys, will we see Bully 2? I still do believe that Bully 2 will happen. There is a huge fan base here that loves the Bully franchise. Now, we can debate for long stretches of time, pros and cons to making a Bully 2. Should Rockstar make a Bully 2? Was it too controversial? Would they make Bully 2 even more controversial and such? Rockstar certainly has a knack for creating experiences that are many times very well done, incredible Game of the Year type caliber games, but at the same time they also create these games that have a lot of controversy, or at least some, to say the least. So Bully is certainly one that's no different here. I personally enjoyed Bully, probably not as much as some fans out there, but I did really enjoy it, and I believe that is certainly an IP that does deserve to continue. Just by the sheer amount of support that has been seen around a potential Bully 2. There has been a widespread speculation of Bully 2. I would, say, guys, that obviously it's on the back of Rockstar's mind without a doubt, because number one, they were working on Bully 2 reportedly, and then they pulled the plug after about 2 years of working on it. These are obviously reports that are coming out, guys. They were working on it for 2 years, and then they pulled the plug because they didn't like the direction it was going. Whether that means it was creative differences, it was in a development hell cycle, it's hard to say. But obviously there was definitely a foundation here to what Bully 2 was going to be. Also, Rockstar is definitely working on other projects outside of Bully when they were working on Bully 2. They've most likely, I think it's been reported now quite a bit, that GTA 6 is being worked on. There are other projects that are being worked on over at Rockstar that we have not really heard much, not much has been leaked and such about them, but we can certainly predict that most likely we could probably expect a Max Payne 4. We could probably even expect a potential LA Noire 2, and maybe even a brand new IP altogether from Rockstar. So there is a number of layers here to this thing, and I think that the question to will we see Bully 2 really comes down to obviously, guys, us as a community coming together and voicing our opinion and voicing that, whether we want that game to come out or not. I think it's really going to come down to that, because I think that we as a community can we can move and sway developers in one way, shape, or form in certain capacities. A lot of times, sometimes there are developers that don't listen to the fan bases, doesn't listen to what people really want. But I think there's definitely something here with Bully. So that being said, I do believe we will see a Bully 2. Now, when are we going to see it is a whole nother question, guys. Bully 2 needs to happen. I think that a continuation of this game and this IP deserves to continue just because of the big fan base. This has been a game that people have wanted for a long time, and I think that they could continue onwards, moving into a really interesting direction. It's a unique type of title. I certainly think it needs to continue. But that being said, when would they revisit Bully 2? I would say, guys, that we've got probably GTA 6 is probably the next game up and coming. And it makes sense, right? GTA and Red Dead Redemption, or Red Dead, those two franchises are the biggest IPs for Rockstar Games. So obviously they're going to stick with those two. Now, what would be your tier 2 games that would be really, could be potential juggernauts for Rockstar moving forward? I would say Max Payne, certainly. If they continue Max Payne, they create like a Max Payne Online, like a online type of service similar to Red Dead Online, similar to, GTA Online. I think Max Payne could be huge. But Bully could certainly be another one that could be very big as well. If they created a Bully Online, like a multiplayer experience there, and you created, all these, kind of taking the formula of what's worked for GTA and as well as Red Dead, and you apply that to Max Payne, Bully, maybe even LA Noire, they could have some, serious juggernauts on their hands outside of Red Dead and GTA. So my thought is this, guys. Bully 2 will not be revisited, most likely until after GTA 6, as well as Max Payne 4 or LA Noire 2 or the next IP that comes out. I think GTA 6 is certainly next. Max Payne should be next. If I were thinking correctly about it, I would say, most likely you're going to get Max Payne 4 or LA Noire 2. And then after that, you're probably going to get a Bully 2, unless they decide to make a Red Dead Redemption 3. So there's a lot of ways in which Rockstar could go here. I do think that Bully is certainly in the back of their minds. They were working on it. They had initial concepts. It might just be one of those IPs that they have to come back to at some point or another, where they have fresh ideas of how they want to move the story forward and what they want to do from a multiplayer perspective, so on and so forth. So yes, guys, Bully 2, I believe, is going to happen. I believe it should happen. And it really comes down to us, though, as a community, to voice our opinion, to really echo these games into existence, the games that we want to happen. But let me know, guys, do you think Bully 2 will ever see the light of day? Or do you think that it is going to be in a limbo state or a state of no return? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Bully 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. The Gears of War franchise has certainly, guys, over the past number of years, has had peaks and valleys, has had those ups and downs as any big franchise out there. And one of the strangest things to me about the Gears of War franchise is not so much about the games, but those who play it, the community, guys. It's a very interesting community, to say the least. I have been a huge fan of Gears of War and where the direction that it's going in. I'm very excited, very bullish on this franchise, to say the least, especially the simple fact that we got Gears 6 and Gears 7 both confirmed by Rod Ferguson, who was the studio head over at the Coalition before he departed to go on to work over at Blizzard on Diablo and that franchise. But pretty much what we got, guys, was Gears 6 and Gears 7 are coming. And that's a very exciting thing to me, because we kind of have somewhat of a path moving forward and what we can expect moving forward. But that doesn't, obviously kind of keep everybody, standing still almost, right? The people in the community, all of us, are very excited about the future of this franchise, but also very reminiscent of the past as well. And one of those is the hashtag Phoenix Collection, which has been going around on Twitter for quite some time now, guys. People in the community want the Phoenix Collection. And so we're going to kind of break that down, guys, and what that kind of means, and could we potentially see this in the future? So let's talk about it. So in an article written, guys, by Fraser Gilbert of Pure Xbox, Gears fans really want to see a Phoenix Collection on the Xbox Series X. the big news that Microsoft hit us with was that Halo the Master Chief Collection would be getting enhanced for Xbox Series X and S. And following that announcement, some Gears of War fans have taken to social media to share their desire for a Marcus Phoenix collection on the new systems as well. The hashtag Phoenix collection appears to be gaining quite a lot of traction on Twitter at the time of writing, with fans coming together in their hope for a next-gen collection of the original trilogy of games. So there's been a number of people talking about it, guys. The original Gears of War was remastered as part of an Ultimate Edition back in 2015, and both Gears 2 and Gears 3 benefit from Xbox One X enhancements, but all three will run on Xbox Series X and S via backwards compatibility at launch. Gears 5 is notably getting a dedicated touch-up for next-gen, featuring improved visuals and 120 frames per second, support for multiplayer. So would you like to see similar improvements for the original trilogy? Neon Velocity tweeted, "Challenge accepted. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Get Phoenix Collection and Gears of War trending. Let Microsoft and Xbox know we want to see Gears UE, Gears 2, and Gears 3 at 120 frames per second. Crossplay remastered and on Xbox Series X and PC." Also, Cold Eastwood tweeted, "Xbox and Gears of War fans, let's get hashtag Phoenix Collection trending. Like, retweet, post, and quote tweet on your timeline or image or memory of Gears 1 through 3 to encourage the Gears of War Phoenix Collection release on Xbox Series X and X. Hashtag Phoenix Collection." So, okay, look, guys. I agree with Neon Velocity here. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. 100% agree. But here's what I'm going to disagree with the community on this, guys. And look, I've been pretty critical, overly critical, as some could say, of the Gears of War community. I have stated many times, guys, that I feel that the backlash towards every little thing the Coalition does or has done up to this point, since they took the reins of Gears of War with the Gears of War Ultimate Edition into Gears 4 and then, of course, into Gears 5, it seems like everything that they do, there's a huge amount of backlash which from the community. No matter what it is, there's a lot of backlash, and I have stated that this is unhealthy as a community, as a, from a franchise perspective, it can't be healthy whatsoever, guys, when we look at the future of Gears of War. Obviously Gears 6 and Gears 7 have been confirmed, as well as a Gears of War movie. They've all been confirmed, but obviously with the backlash and such, at a point it comes down to people just get turned off. So it's hard for new people to even come into the Gears of War franchise when they see the toxicity that is the Gears of War community. And so what I'm getting at here, guys, is the community is actually in many ways hurting the Gears of War scene simply because, when we look at the backlash, when we look at everything that people are complaining about with Gears 5, Gears of War 4, whatever Gears title it is obviously, it really hurts the franchise when you're overly critical. And there's nothing wrong with, speaking your mind and telling the developers that you got to, do this or that to help. But when there is just a constant, backlash on every little thing that the Coalition is doing, who brought back Gears of War, first of all, for us, that was in a limbo state, that was in a state of no return. Microsoft and the Coalition, together, Microsoft creates the Coalition specific for Gears of War, and there you have it, they bring it back. So everyone should be very thankful of that. I think many of us are, but, part of me is concerned about the future of Gears of War. And this Phoenix Collection, even though I believe that it would be cool, right? I think it would be really cool. I think there's a problem, a systemic problem within the Gears of War community of reminiscing of the past. And even those past, the first three, the original trilogy. And guys, don't get me wrong. Gears of War 3 is one of the greatest games of all time. It is a top 5 game to me all time ever made. Gears of War 3 I love, okay? The second game of Gears of War 2 was incredible. The first game, great as well. But look, we need to look forward. And I'm not saying that, we shouldn't get a Phoenix collection. We shouldn't want a Phoenix collection. But I think that we should be wanting to see the next iteration of Gears of War. Now, obviously, guys, we have seen a number of reports and such that Gears 6 is certainly being worked on at this point. The Coalition are also helping out on the Perfect Dark continuation or reboot sequel. But I would be lying if I didn't tell everyone that I am concerned about this thought of just the past, always reminiscing of the past of Gears of War and not really appreciating what we have right now, which Gears 5 I think is a great game. Sure, were there problems at launch? Absolutely. But what's a Gears of War title without some issues, right? There's always been issues at launch for most of these Gears of War titles. It's something that you got to work through. And, I'm very excited for Gears 6. Why am I super excited for Gears 6? Because it's going to be totally new. Gears 1 through 3, we have played for years now, ad nauseum, and I love those games, guys, but at a point, you have to look forward to what's up and coming, and I'm sure many of you are very excited about that, and are excited about Gears 6, excited about Gears 7, but I just feel that when you reminisce in the past so much, it reminds me of some of the Call of Duty trick-shotting and sniping community. When it comes to the new Call of Duties, they play them for a short period of time, then they go back to the older Call of Duties because, there's that feeling, that very original feeling and of trick-shotting and sniping on those original games. Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2, that's what people go back to in the Call of Duty trick-shotting and sniping community. The difference between that community and the Gears community is that the Gears of War community is so much smaller. So anytime there's toxicity in the Call of Duty community, it can almost be brushed off because, maybe there's toxicity, but it's such a much broader audience and fan base than Gears of War, which is more niche, more mature, more this, more that. And so it's a smaller community. It's exclusive to Xbox. What I'm saying, guys, is it is concerning. There is a real concern I have for the future of Gears of War because of the community here. And we got a great community overall, but there are many people within this community that I believe are hurting it in a major way. And you could look at so many other fan bases out there, guys. I mean, you could look at, what recently was Cyberpunk 2077, the backlash that's come from that with, obviously it's duly noted that, there are problems with Cyberpunk 2077. The problems going on with CSGO, the problems with many of these other titles. The difference is those fan bases at this point in time are much larger than Gears of War. The Phoenix Collection is something I would love to see, but I would love to see it release with or announced with Gears 6. I want to see Gears 6. I want to see the future of the franchise. Don't, kind of go back. We don't want to go backwards. We need to move forwards, guys, as a community, as a franchise, as a fan base. It needs to move forward. We can't be moving backwards. And I think the Phoenix Collection, if you got the Coalition working on the Phoenix Collection, sure, you might think, it's not going to be that hard for them to do it. But those things take time. At the end of the day, it's going to take time. Would I like to see it? Absolutely. But not at the expense of Gear 6, not at the expense of Gear 7, not at the expense of other maybe spin-offs of, Gears of War as a whole. We as a community need to move forward, not backwards. I get that people want the Phoenix Collection, guys, and I do too, but I think there is a pecking order here to what we should want and what we should and what we really need. And what I think we need, guys, is the next iteration of Gears of War in the form of Gears 6, the continuation of the story, the evolution of the esports scene, the evolution of the, multiplayer to horde mode, to all those experiences, guys, in Gears of War. There needs to be a continuation here. Halo the Master Chief Collection is exciting, right? I mean, it's exciting that you're getting that, but enhanced for Xbox Series X and S. But here's the difference. Halo Infinite is coming out, right? So the Master Chief Collection, you know, that's coming because of Halo Infinite, and it makes a little more sense to me. But don't release the Phoenix Collection without announcing Gear 6 and showing us what is in store for us in the next iteration of Gears of War. My real fear is, guys, is that when you start asking for the Phoenix Collection or something of that nature, and you don't see things materializing with Gear 6, what happens if Gear 6 never happens? You're just going to reminisce in the past, you know, forever. The esports scene dies, and then you're left with the game that was one for the ages, but didn't get a continuation because the community didn't really support it. It supported the past, not the future. Think about it. And don't get me wrong, guys, I want the Phoenix Collection. But let's see Gear 6 first. Let's see what this is gonna entail. Let's get an announcement first, at least. Let's get Gear 6, hashtag Gear 6 trending. Let's get that kind of rolling here first. Let's see what that next iteration of our franchise is going to be all about. Bring the Phoenix Collection sometime. I'm definitely down. But after playing those games so many times, guys, I'm ready to see the future, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you guys concerned like me about the Gears of War franchise? I'm a little bit concerned, guys. Not because of, you know, the developers and all of that. I'm concerned because of the community and the community's actions towards what the Coalition does, towards each of these games, towards wanting to reminisce in the past constantly, and not really having the sustainability kind of factored in here. We don't have a big enough fan base to withstand tons of negativity, tons of toxicity. People will be turned away from that. So we got to really deal with this delicately. Let me know though, guys, in the comment section down below. Do you want the Phoenix Collection? What do you think? Let me know. And for more Gears of War content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Dante's Inferno was a very exciting game, to say the least, in my opinion, guys. I really enjoyed this title overall. It really brought together a pretty nice package as well, from single player to multiplayer. You know, just a great action adventure, hack and slash type of game. Really playing, you know, some mindless fun, but also had a pretty intriguing story, to say the least. And, you know, I've asked the question to myself, you know, whatever happened to Dante's Inferno? I mean, are we going to see a continuation of this title moving forward? It's been a number of years. I mean, guys, this game was released in February of 2010. So over 10 years ago was when we had Dante's Inferno. Where's Dante's Inferno 2? I want to talk about everything that we know so far about this sequel, the possibility of it. Could we see it? And what's it going to take for it to come out? And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below if you guys would love to see it in a sequel to the 2010 Dante's Inferno. So let's talk about it. So guys, I've said this many times on the YouTube channel, pretty much ad nauseum at this point, that there's two things, generally speaking, that come into play whether a game, an IP, gets a sequel or a continuation of some sort or another. Number one is, of course, sales, because at the end of the day, guys, it's all about money. So first is sales, and number two is the reception of a title as well. And you have to look at those two things to kind of dictate whether or not a sequel could potentially happen, and then you can kind of break it down from there. So Dante's Inferno, guys, this game, it received generally favorable reviews. So this, guys, is of course, the reception to Dante's Inferno was pretty good. I mean, to say the least, guys. You know, when we look at it, this is all according to review aggregator Metacritic. While there was substantial praise for the art style and level design, numerous critics drew unfavorable comparisons with Sony's popular God of War series, among other more fundamental criticisms, such as repetitive gameplay in the latter half of the game. Now, when we look at the review scores, guys, you got Destructoid, 9 out of 10 on PS3 as well as Xbox 360. You've got Game Informer giving it a 7 out of 10. That's pretty good. You got GameSpot, 6.5 out of 10. That's okay. Not too bad. IGN gave it a 7.5 out of 10. That's pretty good. I mean, that'll do it. And then the Daily Telegraph, 6 out of 10. Now, Obviously, guys, I mean, it's pretty, favorable, right? I mean, not too bad. I mean, Destructoid giving it a 9 out of 10 was pretty high. But really, when you look at it, guys, you're getting over, I mean, you're kind of over that 5 out of 10 mark. So you're pretty much over that. So you're like 6 and above for the most part on from review scores. So that's good enough to get a sequel, in my personal opinion. If you're at least getting, somewhere between 6 out of 10 and up, you're probably going to be in a pretty good position, because that means that the review scores, of course, they're positive, which means that people don't necessarily buy games just from the reviews, but sometimes you'll rent the game because you want to try it out because it got good, review scores. It kind of creates a buzz about the title. So number 2, though, guys, is of course the sales and such. But it's also comes down to, was there anything in the game that would have left us kind of with that sour taste in your mouth, any type of controversy that could really hurt it moving forward? There was a controversy in 2009, October. It was announced that the game would include a PlayStation 3 trophy and an Xbox 360 achievement entitled Bad Nanny, which is awarded to players for killing monsters resembling children, supposedly the lost souls of unbaptized infants. This sparked a conflict with the International Nanny Association, in which they encouraged supporters to oppose the game. The INA claimed that the achievement is offensive to real nannies and that it also promotes real life violence. So, look, what I will say is this. This certainly, I don't think that this affected the sales in a major way, but this is bad publicity, right? Overall, it's not really great publicity. It doesn't really help your cause for the most part. I don't think it helps. I don't think it really hurts either. So the controversy, guys, certainly it's not like some of the controversies we've seen in other games, but certainly you got to kind of take that, kind of keep that in the back of your mind that that did happen in 2009. Now, as far as the legacy of this is concerned, a sequel was certainly talked about, guys, and has been talked about. So here we have it. Since the game ends in a cliffhanger with Dante reaching Mount Purgatory, it was widely speculated that a sequel based on the second poem in the Divine Comedy, Purgatorio, would enter production. Despite this, it was announced that Visceral had no plans for a sequel. In November 2011, Joshua Rubin announced that he had been hired as a writer for a video game sequel that was heavily hinted to be a sequel to Dante's Inferno. However, as of 2018, no further information of any kind regarding a sequel to Dante's Inferno has been forthcoming, and Visceral Games was closed in October of 2017. So, Visceral Games, guys, obviously were one of the developer companies under, of course, EA, and they were shut down. These were the same guys who worked on the Dead Space franchise as well. They were working on Dante's Inferno, most likely working on Dante's Inferno 2. And so that would be the biggest thing here about Dante's Inferno 2, is that Visceral Games got shut down. If EA wants to bring this title back, it would be with a new development team. And so could they do that? Absolutely, guys. And so what's one thing that we knew about Dante's Inferno 2? It was most likely going to be based on the second poem in the Divine Comedy, Purgatorio. Now, according to an article written by Padraig Cotter of Screen Rant, while the first game appeared to be the start of a new franchise, here's why Visceral Games' Dante's Inferno 2 never came together. A follow-up was heavily teased in the game's cliffhanger ending, but here's why Dante's Inferno 2 never left development hell. Developer Visceral Games first made a name for themselves in the 2000s, working on licensed games James Bond 007, Everything or Nothing, and 2006's The Godfather, before breaking out with the original Dead Space. This 2008 title was an intense blend of horror and action, with players trapped on a vast spaceship and having to literally dismember creatures dubbed necromorphs to survive. EA saw Dead Space as the start of a new multimedia franchise, and it launched with tie-in comics, novels, and prequel anime movie. There was also talk of a live-action adaptation. Now, we all know, guys, what happened with Dead Space. Look, work quickly began on Dead Space 2, which arrived in 2011, but before the sequel arrived, Visceral released Dante's Inferno. This 2010 adventure reimagined the Inferno section of Dante's epic poem Divine Comedy and followed a knight who slices through all nine circles of hell to rescue lover Beatrice. The game was heavily inspired by hack-and-slash titles like God of War and gave each level of hell its own distinct and gross reimagining. So like Dead Space, Dante's Inferno also received a big marketing push complete with an anime movie, but despite being heavily teased, Dante's Inferno 2 never arrived. So obviously, guys, as we talked about, the Dante's Inferno 2 was dubbed Purgatory or Purgatorio. The 9 circles of hell provided Visceral Games with a nice, easy structure to follow for Dante's Inferno. Since they only adapted 1/3 of the epic poem, that also left room for sequels Purgatory and Paradise. The game ends with Dante imprisoning Lucifer and finding himself in Purgatory, though a twist reveals Lucifer has followed him in the form of a snake. So, now, as far as, from the standpoint, guys, Fede Alvarez, this is a little side note, is developing a Dante's Inferno movie. So, it was announced in 2013 that Evil Dead remake director, Fede Alvarez was tapped to helm a Dante's Inferno movie adaptation. Alvarez later spoke with Screen Rant in 2016 about his plans, revealing he never actually played the game and that it evolved into something more faithful to the original poem. Nothing has been heard about the project in recent years, so it's unknown if it's still in the pipeline. So that's something, guys, I would be excited about as well. Could you imagine Dante's Inferno 2 being released, around the same time that the Fede Alvarez adaptation of Dante's Inferno, when that movie would come to life? You have both of those things coming together. It could be something really special. In 2011, writer Joshua Rubin was linked to pen Dante's Inferno 2, but since then, very little has been heard about a sequel. Following the very mixed reception to Dead Space 3 in 2013 and the cancellation of their high-profile Star Wars game, Visceral Games was shut down by EA in 2017. That could be the key, guys, to all of this, why we haven't seen a Dante's Inferno 2, a Dead Space 4. A lot of it could come down to the closure of Visceral Games. The downfall of the Dead Space franchise, which didn't hit EA's unreasonable sales expectations, is likely the true reason Dante's Inferno 2 didn't happen. Nearly a decade since the original game was released, and the shuttering of Visceral make the odds of a sequel very bleak. Now look, if you ask me, guys, Dante's Inferno came down to a number of things. Sure, they tried to copy, God of War. So a lot of people didn't like that. Then, of course, on top of that, Visceral Games shutting down. That's huge, guys. Dead Space 3 didn't, meet the expectations of what EA expected. And so maybe they just decided to close down Visceral Games. Could EA, though, sell the IP? Could they do like a package deal where they sell Dead Space as well as Dante's Inferno to the highest bidder? It definitely could happen. We haven't heard any word on that, but Dante's Inferno 2, I believe, does need to happen. Similar to Dead Space 4, I believe Dead Space 4 should happen. I would love to see Dante's Inferno 2. I think there's something really special here, especially if the movie is still going to be coming out. You could really cross-market those two things. It could be something really special. I think they were just touching the potential of what Dante's Inferno could really be in a video game format. But let me know, guys, what do you think happened here with Dante's Inferno? And do you guys think we'll get a Dante's Inferno 2 at this point? In my personal opinion, guys, it is in a limbo state at this point. It is in a state of potential no return. It really comes down to EA, and if they would want to sell the IP or greenlight a soft reboot or whatever the case might be. I want to see Dante's Inferno. Let me know, though, do you guys want to see it? Because really, at the end of the day, it comes down to the community. Does the community want a Dante's Inferno 2? Let me know. And for more Dante's Inferno 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We have talked on the YouTube channel a lot about Mass Effect, the past, present, and future of this franchise. And finally, guys, we have a light at the end of the tunnel. That being Mass Effect will continue, according to BioWare, guys, and of course the teaser that was released at the Game Awards in 2020. I'm so excited about this, guys, because Mass Effect I've talked about. And it's nice, you know, we talk about so many different games on this YouTube channel and the future of those franchises in particular, and one of those being Mass Effect. And I gotta say, guys, that it's really nice to see some of the games that we have been talking about ad nauseum on this YouTube channel finally seeing the light of day, that light at the end of the tunnel, and now we can just really dive into it and talk about it. And in this segment of the show, I want to talk about everything that we know so far about Mass Effect 4, Mass Effect will continue, Mass Effect, the soft reboot, whatever it's called, guys, we're going to talk about that here in this segment of the show. So let's get into it. In an article written by Morgan Park of PC Gamer, BioWare is working on a new Mass Effect game with ties to the original trilogy. BioWare is making a new Mass Effect game, and it's probably not picking up where Andromeda left off, at least not exactly. From what we can tell, BioWare seems to be hinting at a return to the galaxy and characters of the Mass Effect trilogy first and foremost. That is Liara in the teaser trailer after all. But how much time has passed since the original games? Is Shepard still in the picture? We can't be sure of anything based on only a few images in a teaser trailer, but it's clear that nothing is off the table for BioWare. One piece of art suggests that Andromeda characters could enter the fold alongside original favorites too. So what's the best guess here? Well, this isn't a direct sequel to Mass Effect 3 or Andromeda. It's simply the next Mass Effect game, and there's a lot still up in the air. To me, guys, I think it makes a lot of sense to almost have somewhat of a soft reboot to the Mass Effect franchise because of the sour taste that Andromeda gave a lot of people. I liked Andromeda actually quite a bit, but I'm one of the few that really enjoyed Andromeda for what it was and kind of the direction they were trying to go in. I thought it was a great way to continue the franchise, but many people, of course, don't agree with me on that one. However, I think that this Mass Effect does need to be tied more to the original trilogy. That's what people want. People want that kind of, that feel from way back, in the first original, Mass Effect games. And I don't blame them for that. So the first big question is when are we going to be able to play this game? BioWare has yet to give a release window for its new Mass Effect game, but it's safe to say that it's still several years away. From what we can tell, the new project didn't really make it off the ground until sometime in 2019. So, okay guys, for me, if it didn't make it off the ground until sometime in 2019, let's just say it's like mid to late 2019, we're going to hear probably more about it next year, I would hope. If we don't hear anything about it in 2021, I'm hoping we hear more about it in 2022. And I'm saying that's probably going to release in 2023, maybe 2024, depending on really what all this game is going to encompass. Is it going to encompass a full package where it's like the single player, multiplayer, co-op modes? Or is it just going to be one of those things? That is yet to really be seen, guys. So BioWare is also working on the next Dragon Age game. It seems plausible that one of those will be out by the end of 2022, but both of them, most likely that's not happening, guys. So the part where Liara digs the armor piece out of the dirt and reveals the N7 logo, that's good stuff. The teaser itself is light on details. It's only really meant to stir up excitement, but we've been able to glean interesting observations from space shots and figures in the background at the end of the video. So based on the teaser, we can make a pretty good guess. Fans have already begun to speculate that the two galaxies from the beginning of the teaser suggest that the next Mass Effect will be a sequel to Andromeda in addition to the Shepard trilogy. That and the fact that the Liara is front and center. If true, the story likely wouldn't pick up where Andromeda left off necessarily, but may bring back characters and locations, which I think that might be a really interesting concept. Either way, it seems like the game will have to pick a canon ending to Mass Effect 3 and roll with it, which in my opinion is going to be absolutely massive, guys. I mean, how Mass Effect 3 ended, it's going to, if they're going to have to choose an ending there with Mass Effect 3, that's going to, hit people differently, right? Some people are going to really like that in the community. Some people are really not going to like that. Now, as the teaser dropped during the Game Awards, we initially began speculating that the mystery Asari is indeed Liara, one of Commander Shepard's companions in the first 3 games. How did we know it was Liara? She's the only Asari seen in the series with eyebrows and freckles. We only had to speculate briefly because Liara's face model, Jillian Murray, confirmed on Twitter that she'd be returning for the next Mass Effect game. Meanwhile, Liara's voice actor, Ali Hillis, said that Liara's return is news to her. No need to panic yet that Hillis is being replaced in the role. It's likely that the game is still much too early to be recording voice lines. So who else is also going to be returning, guys? Since we're pretty sure that the next Mass Effect game will be some sort of follow-up to the original trilogy, it now makes more sense that the concept art shared back in November of 2020 included character art seemingly ripped from the old games. As the post above by GGO665 points out, the silhouettes standing by the ship are recognizable portraits of Thane and Mordin from Mass Effect 2. The chap next to them also looks like the Mass Effect Andromeda's Jaal. That's particularly interesting considering Jaal is an Angara, a race only seen in Andromeda. This strengthens the game's connection to Andromeda and suggests the next Mass Effect will embrace that game setting to some degree. So here's the thing. There's just a ton of excitement that Mass Effect's coming back, right? That we're going to get another continuation. To me, guys, I would love to see a continuation from Andromeda. Doesn't have to be called Mass Effect Andromeda 2. I think it would be great for it to be a continuation off of Andromeda, but with ties to the original trilogy. That, to me, sounds like the best way to go. Now, I like Andromeda a lot, so, you got to take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, but I would really enjoy seeing a continuation of Andromeda, but with maybe some of like those original characters and things of that nature. So, from the get-go, BioWare is making it clear that the next Mass Effect game is in good hands. BioWare project director Michael Gamble made that much clearer in a tweet thread following the Game Awards teaser outlining some of the original Mass Effect team that rejoined BioWare for the new game. So obviously, guys, Michael Gamble coming back is massive. Dusty Everman, Parrish Lee, Brennan Holmes. Look, of course, don't forget Derek Watts. He's the original art director for Mass Effect. He's back too, ready to rock. Really cool news, but the emphasis on veteran talent is likely to respond to the sudden departure of Casey Hudson from BioWare, who directed the first 3 Mass Effect games and was working on this new project. So that's something that you also have to think about, guys, that Casey Hudson, he did depart BioWare, so that could be, we have to think about that as a negative, obviously, with all of this, but nonetheless, I think it's just really big that Mass Effect is continuing in some capacity or another. This could be a really big game. A big budget space opera like Mass Effect has never been the result of a single tour, but Hodgson has been the face of the series since its inception. His departure, along with BioWare's recent streak of poorly received games with Andromeda and Anthem, has been a point of worry for many fans. And I agree with that. Anthem was not good. Andromeda, I enjoyed it for what it was, but sure. Was it better than the original trilogy? Absolutely not. Casey Hudson went ahead and said, guys, we have so many ideas for things we want to do in Mass Effect, so much concept art that hasn't yet been brought to life, and so many stories yet to tell. Hashtag N7 Day, and he tweeted this out November 7th of 2019. On N7 Day 2019, a full year before he would leave the project, Casey Hudson tweeted out concept art for the next Mass Effect game following the December 2020 teaser. It's clear BioWare has a story in mind for the game, but in 2019, it sounds like the team was still kicking around ideas. Now, the big question mark, guys, for people is Shepard. Are we going to get Shepard back? I'm going to say this. I hope they don't bring Shepard back. If he makes like a cameo or something, that's cool. But I don't know. Part of me thinks that you got to move forward in this franchise. You had a whole trilogy with those characters and such. Bringing some of them back into the fold is definitely smart. I think it kind of reminds me of like the sequel trilogy to Star Wars, right? We had, new characters, but you also had some of the older characters that came into it. I think something like that here would be, I would like that as well. But don't make Shepard like the main, role role, the main person that you are taking the helm with and playing as and such. He had his time. It's time to move on. And that's why I liked Andromeda a lot. It was kind of like moving on somewhat. People didn't like a lot of the things, the concepts within Andromeda, but I appreciated it. I think that you have to almost have, a character pass the torch from one to the other. And I think it was done pretty well. But here, having Shepard come back in some capacity or another would be very interesting. But nonetheless, I personally would like to see them move on from Shepard fully in this next Mass Effect iteration. But with that being said, guys, we know, we know certain things, of course, about, this upcoming title, this upcoming Mass Effect game. But there's still a lot that we don't know. Let me know, though, in the comment section down below, what is it that you guys want to see in Mass Effect 4, this next Mass Effect title? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more Mass Effect content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.